Look at us getting everything working. I have a lot to get to, guys. Have no fear. The show, as always, presented by Americans for Prosperity, americansforprosperity.org. It's not a normal open. We're practicing because if this is the way of the future, it drives me nuts. I never actually wanted to live stream the show, but we see an opportunity for us, and I never really felt it before, but we see it now for us, and so this is the way it's going to be. What comes next after the Iowa caucus? That's what we're going to get into. We're about to connect up with the show. That's right. I wear glasses and I look damn good. We're about to connect up with the show. So I am going to wait for the show to catch up. The radio show starts at 6 minutes after the hour. A series of things that took place yesterday. When you take a look at the numbers, you take a look where Trump, Haley, and DeSantis landed in the caucus, what they're saying, what happens, a lot of media malpractice that took place in yesterday with the calling of the race early, and why it matters, because people are like, it didn't change the result. You don't know what it changed, and you don't know what the desire was. That's the problem. Now, maybe you do, but I might have to share this with some other people about what the desire really was here. You see a very clear media telling you something, and what they're telling you is we want what we want, and what we want might not be what everybody else wants. Trump with 51%, but you add everybody else up, they were at 49%. Is this supposed to now mean that there's really a massive push to get Trump out? This is a reason for candidates to stay in the race? I guess they could take it that way. I'm not so sure that's what it means. Not so sure that's what it means. So I have got that to go over. Also, the United States is at war with Iran because Iran is at war with the United States. And Joe Biden did this. Just for the sake of clarity, Joe Biden did this. That's what happened. So we're about to get into the show here and make it happen. If you're listening to WIBC.com, we're also on in Bloomington. We're also on in Muncie. But there is no question that Trump has a big win. He's got a big win in Iowa. Are we going to pretend that it's not big? Are we going to pretend that somehow it isn't what it is? That'd be a crazy thing to do. 51% in Iowa. The problem is that they called this thing 33 minutes into the caucuses. They're calling it, hey, Trump wins. What do you mean Trump wins? These people haven't even sat down yet. They haven't had a chance to take off their coats, get their first cup of cocoa. You're already calling a winner? That is nutty stuff. But maybe not as nutty as the response from Nikki Haley.
When you look at how we're doing in New Hampshire, in South Carolina, and beyond, I can safely say tonight, Iowa made this Republican primary a two-person race.
She came in third, everybody. There's a lot to digest there. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. Go be a supporter. Let's make sure we understand what it is that she's saying and why it is that she says it's a two-person race, Nikki Haley. It's because she's taking a look at New Hampshire and South Carolina and saying, so you're telling me there's a chance. Now, in her defense, she can actually say that. She has polled within 7 points of Trump in New Hampshire, which is the smallest spread that anybody has seen in this race. And in South Carolina, she's the former governor. She thinks that she's going to be able to have some pull there. New Hampshire has Trump 43, Haley 29. They still have Christie at 11, DeSantis at 6.5. I mean, DeSantis is far behind, but his play was never New Hampshire. Do well in Iowa, get to South Carolina, force yourself some action on Super Tuesday. That's a really hard one for him to pull off at this stage of the game. Incredibly difficult for him to pull off at this stage of the game. But for Nikki Haley, it's not that nuts. It's not that No, don't confuse issues. I'm not saying she's going to be the nominee. Trump has got all this momentum. I mean, the polling had him, and Real Clear Politics average had him at 52.5%. He won by 51. The polls were dead on for him. So if it's dead on in Iowa, let's start making a conclusion that it's dead on everywhere. It's dead on in New Hampshire. It's dead on in South Carolina. For Nikki Haley underperformed in Iowa. It's Ron DeSantis who overperformed by about 5.5 points, I think it was. But we'll have to discuss DeSantis in a completely different methodology. What did Iowa tell us? What is it that we see from this that is important to understand? I'll give you a couple things, if you don't mind. The first things first. It is obvious that Trump amongst the base is as popular as the base said he was. Now, if you say to me, Tony, 51% went for Trump, and 49% went a different direction, we now have to ask ourselves, does that 49% now coalesce around some alternate candidate, some contrarian candidate, if you will? And is that person really Nikki Haley? Or does a group of that 49%, let's say half, say, all right, Trump's the guy. I wanted to get somebody else. I thought it'd be an easier lift for the general election. All right, Trump's the guy. We're done. Which one is more likely? I'm not saying the first scenario isn't possible. I'm saying the second scenario is clearly more probable. It's clearly more probable. And when something is clearly more probable, I think you got to start playing in that direction. And that direction says Trump is the nominee. This is where I'll start. What's your plan? It's my question to every Trump supporter out there who was yelling and screaming that none of this matters and all these other candidates should get out, and DeSantis isn't even loyal. What do you mean loyal? What conversation is this regarding loyal? It's one of the silliest things that has ever come up. You want to run for president? You run for president. You don't owe anybody anything. Of course you can run for president. Nobody was more supportive of Donald Trump than Vivek Ramaswamy. And then you've got Leo Terrell, who you often see on Fox. Does he still spend time with Hannity? He used to spend a lot of time with Sean Hannity. And he makes this video as if on command to say, hey, Trump supporters, don't get sucked in by that Vivek Ramaswamy. I'll tell you what, you can't trust that guy at all or in any single way. And he makes this video, and this video is not necessarily nice. Wasn't necessarily kind.
I've said it for the last 3 weeks. You cannot trust Vivek. He is not a Trump supporter. He's a Trump hater. This guy is in the race to hurt Donald Trump. Vivek is only interested in Vivek. He uses Trump's slogans to trick you. I've been a lawyer for 30 years. I know the game. I've read this guy. This guy is a slick con man. Vivek is not in the race for Trump or for America.
Vivek got out of the race and has endorsed Donald Trump and will be in New Hampshire to endorse him. So the Trump supporter is certainly somebody who is hardcore and hard-edged. And we should be clear where I'm at. So you know, I was a DeSantis cat. I thought DeSantis would make it easier to win the general election. I think a general election with Donald Trump is a heavy lift. I never questioned whether or not Trump was popular. I'm discussing winning because I don't know about you. I don't really give a damn about Donald Trump's personality, and I don't know why other people do. And I don't understand this conversation. God placed him here to be here at this moment. That's not the way it works. And as a matter of fact, that's super creepy. People used to say that about Ted Cruz. You know, Glenn Beck used to say that about Ted Cruz. I was always like, that's just the weirdest thing in the world. That is I think an ugly thing to say. You don't vote for this guy, you're going against God. That's an ugly, ugly thing to say. People in the party view Trump as a fighter. And certainly, whether you were a Trump guy or not, you understand that these indictments are all about political interference and election interference. Every last bit of it is about election interference, and any other argument is laughable. It is provable on the Jack Smith side. It's certainly provable on the Fannie Willis in Atlanta side in this RICO predicate, where she's hiring her lover to do the prosecution. Oh, you want to prosecute? Okay, I'll pay you $100 an hour less. But my lover, he's going to get the full freight because, after all, my lover. I like using the term lover. I think it's underutilized. That's all I'm saying. This is all election interference. The reason the cases were brought now, complete and total election interference. And to say otherwise is laughable. Someone's hatred of Trump is not a maneuver to remove reality. Bringing the cases now is about interfering with the election. These people should be damn well ashamed of themselves, starting with Joe Biden, working their way down. However, these people have no shame. Here we are right now. You think Trump's the guy with no shame? Stop. Sometimes you just sound silly. But the Trump supporter believes that because they support Trump, everybody does. Because they support Trump, it's all going to be about Trump, and everyone's going to be behind Trump, and the country's going to be behind Trump. I have not seen proof of that, but I don't think I have to be the guy to show you. You show me. Let's argue that my second theory is true, that the odds are that the 49% who voted against Trump, at least half of them will come over to Trump because they'll be like, okay, he's the nominee. It's done. Now, tell me about how you're going to win. Tell me about how you win a general. Tell me about how you win a general election. Because I want to win. I don't want to praise. Now, I get that amongst a certain set, what I'm discussing and how I go about it is just a downright heresy, right? I get that. Allow me to look you square in the eye and say, I sleep fine. I'm asking the right question. I think everybody else has got their head so far up their own or somebody else's butt, they're not even thinking about the question. They don't even know how to look for the question. How do you win a general? What's the plan? I asked this about getting rid of Kevin McCarthy. For what bloody good reason do you get rid of Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House? You had no plan afterwards. You then find Mike Johnson because he's the only guy who didn't have a freaking enemy in the House. And then he's putting together the same policy prescriptions regarding spending bills that McCarthy would have. I'll ask again, what's the plan for getting Donald Trump over the finish line? I am mortified by the idea that, well, he's just great. Well, Biden's just old. Now, Biden is old, and that is part of a strategy, but it's only part of a strategy, especially when you consider that the Democratic Party will replace him. Are we taking bets? I got some cash. Am I the only guy who still carries cash? Am I the only guy? I'm the only guy. I just dropped it. I'm the only guy who still carries cash in this country. What are we betting on? That Biden's going to be the nominee? Tell me how you visualize that. Tell me how a guy who goes to a coffee shop in Pennsylvania and absolutely did not know how to walk up to the counter and place an order is talking to young girls and as creepy as can be. Tell me how this guy is going to get through the convention and be the nominee. the Democratic Party is crazy. They're not deranged, right? They're deranged. They're not crazy. Got it. Thank you. Of course, they're going to replace him. So that conversation is going to be a lot harder to deal with. Now, I would say to you that my advice starts with what is ahead and not what is behind. Trump may want to relitigate 2020 all he wants. And there are conversations regarding the election of 2020 where I do not believe he is wrong at all. But to win, one has to look forward. There are subjects with which Joe Biden and Democrats should be tasked with. Look at what they have done. When you take a look at entrance polls for the Iowa caucuses, one of the things that you see that before the economy, topping the economy on things people are thinking about, immigration. The border is a violent hellscape, lawless, and this administration not only does nothing, they get angry when you think of something. When you notice, they get angry. When you want to make a move, they get angry. When you've got a policy prescription, they get angry. Then you have Alejandro Mayorkas, the Secretary of Homeland Security, complaining about the broken immigration system. And nothing moved to fix it. And no screaming and yelling at Congress to get something done. So the discussion of illegal immigration, the violence, and Trump knows how to do this. He did this in his acceptance yesterday. That is an absolutely key piece to the puzzle of how you connect with those blue dog Democrats, with independents, etc. That's one. Number two is the economy, of course. We have seen with the consumer price index at 3.9%, inflation is not out of the way. Inflation is right here at 3.9%, double the Fed target of 2%. That is a subject of Biden policy, Democrat policies, and Democrat failures. They are overspenders, and they think that their money is your money, and their money is your money, and your money is their money. No. Their money is their money, and your money is their money. There we go. And you are entitled to keep your money. Now, this actually connects to a really interesting story in the Wall Street Journal about Black people who are investing more in Wall Street. Remind me to get to that because it's fascinating, and Republicans don't talk about these things because Republicans don't know how to talk at all. And the third one is war. We are at war with Iran because Iran is at war with us. We see this from the Houthi rebels. We see this from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps engaging an attack near a U.S. consulate in Iraq. We're at war with Iran, and Joe Biden did this because Joe Biden doesn't deter anything. It isn't that the United States military is not a deterrent. It is that Joe Biden is weak. There are three things that Trump can do to talk about going forward to win 2024, and he can avoid conversations of relitigation because relitigation is going to hurt him. And everybody needs to get their head straight. Trump is popular with half the base. He is not popular with half the country. He's going to have to go earn it. So for all those Trump supporters, what's your plan? How do you plan on winning? How do you get them over the finish line? If you haven't started thinking about that, honestly, what good is the fandom? I'm Tony Katz. Hey guys, just getting some stuff ready for the show coming up back in what are we, Jason, 2 minutes? I'll take a minute and a half. That sounds good. That sounds good indeed. We've got Iran bombing the U.S. consulate there. I want to get into this war conversation. Exactly what it is that Joe Biden has led us into. That's not it right there. So I'll get that together. What's going on with my hair? Look at that. I think I need a haircut, Jason. I think that's it, man. It's just nutty. It's just fly away today. All right. Let's go do this. Bring it back there, Jason. Come on now. You can find everything at TonyKatz.com, by the way. That's where everything is, TonyKatz.com. You can be a part of that. That is part of the world of locals. And so you can get the stuff for free, or you can get the behind-the-scenes stuff as well. Plenty of videos that we do that we only have over on the local side. I'd love it if you would check that out. We just do that at TonyKatz.com. And Angela, some conservative podcasts think Michelle Obama will take his place. Oh, we'll get into that. I promise. So we are at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran because Iran is at war with us. And there are far too many people who are somehow of the opinion that magically, that's not the case. There are far too many people who are of the belief that Iran is somehow contained. No, they're not. Iran is the supporter of the Houthi rebels. Iran is the supporter of Hamas. They are the sponsors of terrorism. They are the lead murderers and the lead cheerleaders of murderers. So what else is there except recognizing that? Tony Katz today, good to be with you. Iran bombs U.S. consulate in Iraq, takes credit in massive escalation. That is their basics. This attack that took place goes along with the attacks that the Houthis have been engaged in on ships, on others. They've been sending missiles into Israel, being shot down by Iron Dome or U.S. warships. Several civilians, as reported by the Jerusalem Post, believed to have died in the attack. And this coming from the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, who took credit for this. It's imperative to know that going into a presidential election, that we are a nation at war. And it's imperative to know that so much of this was wholly avoidable through strength. But it is Joe Biden who has absolutely none. Biden offers no strength. Biden offers no ability to counteract because he believes that somehow, some way, some magical, mystical way that a negotiation can take place. It is part of the sickness that came from Barack Obama in wanting to have an Iran nuclear deal and an Iran deal for this and Iran deal for that, and we can find a way and we can do this. Such love for Iran. And he put Ben Rhodes out there and everybody else with such insane love for Iran. For what purpose? For what value? We got nothing out of it. Iran nuclear deal? You didn't know they were going to get a nuclear weapon? It never, ever was going to stop them? We get out of it under Trump and Biden immediately wants back in. Then Biden says things like, we've spoken to Iran. They know not to do anything. And now they're bombing American consulates or near American consulates, which means they don't even know how to aim. This is on Biden. We are at war and we should know it. I'm Tony Katz. Guys, we take a break from our radio side. I'll be back with you guys in just a couple of minutes. So hang loose. All right. So we'll be back from the radio side in about a minute. If you have questions, comments, put them in the comments. Freddie, good to see you, man. Absolutely good to see you over there. Put them in the comments. Happy to do it. So I clearly do have a couple things to put together. Sarah, you guys don't know Sarah. She runs everything digital for me, right? So Jason runs the board, runs the radio side. Sarah runs all the digital. I'm thinking that if I want to do this, I got to do it like everybody else does. And I'm going to need a producer. Sarah, I don't, maybe Sarah wants to do it. I think we're going to have to put a word out there. We're going to be like, we're going to hire a producer. How do we not? I don't know how I can I drink from a straw and not look ridiculous? Hold on. Nope. I do look ridiculous, don't I? Yep. What was that, Jason? Wait, I thought drinking from a straw doesn't. Wait, because it's the air. Yeah, but I do it because like I have lids because it's the board, it's the computer. Yeah, if you do radio or anything involving a computer, you don't have a lid. You're nuts. You're asking for disaster. So I need a. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I think someone has to produce it. I think I'm hiring. I think that's what's going to have to happen. I don't think I can just do this one on my own. I think there's just a lot to put together. All right, let's get into it there, producer Jason. Let's get back to radio. So let us now discuss how it is that the Biden administration has failed so epically on a conversation about humanity. Tony Katz today, 833 got Tony, 833-468 8669. Of course, if you're checking out the live stream, you can leave a comment there on any of the platforms or rumble.com/Tony Katz. You have, of course, a progressive thought process that states that Israel is the problem, not Hamas. And you know that this is true because none of these Jew-hating bigots, none of them say that Hamas should stop. None of them say that Hamas is guilty. And when they do say it, it is couched in between a condemnation of Israel and then a irrational idea of what Israel must do. Israel must immediately engage in a ceasefire. How does that work? They're still being attacked by Hamas, a terrorist organization that murdered 1,200 of their people, raped others, burned people alive. And now you want them to have it happen again. What else could a ceasefire possibly do? Well, what's happening is that the people of Gaza are starving and they don't have access to food or water. Or when did it become Israel's responsibility to provide them food or water? When did that become Israel's responsibility? There is no responsibility under any Geneva Convention or anything else for a nation to provide aid and comfort to their enemy. It doesn't exist. And Hamas, a terrorist organization, certainly doesn't care if the people of Gaza die or starve. Bernie Sanders screaming and yelling and carrying on about how the people of Gaza are starving. It's awful. Don't think that I've lost somehow my soul here. I seem to be, amongst these progressives, the only person who has a soul at all, because I'm not a progressive. I get that it's a horror show. And it would end if Hamas was done. It would end if Hamas was finished. It would end if Hamas was destroyed. It would end. So let's talk about ending Hamas. But they never, ever do that. They don't talk about ending Hamas. They don't talk about Hamas surrendering. They talk about only Israel doing this, Israel doing that, and Israel doing the other. This is their bigotry at play. This is who they are. Today, there is a plan. The plan is to have this massive walkout. I don't know, check producer Jason, has it happened yet? A walkout of Biden staff members because they don't like how it is this administration is dealing with Israel. They're not being there. Has it happened, Jason? Okay. Not yet. How dare this administration be in any way supportive of Israel? They're not really. How dare they not demand a ceasefire? So staffers are like children. They should be seen and not heard, except the difference between a staffer and a child is that a child is at least cute. Staffers should barely be seen and never be heard. Your job is not to embarrass your boss. And all of a sudden, these staffers in today's world, these staffers believe that they have got opinions and their opinions matter. No one gives a damn about a staffer's opinion. Dear staffer, no one cares about you at all. Get your boss's coffee, understand the policy so you can explain it to them, then shut it. That's how completely unimportant you are to us. You might be very important to your boss. I don't say no to that, but not to me. And I don't want to hear your opinion. I didn't ask for your opinion. I didn't vote for your opinion. I don't give a damn about your opinion. I didn't say you weren't entitled to an opinion, but your opinion happens over there, away from the workplace. In the workplace, don't embarrass your boss. don't have an opinion and don't think you're allowed to have a walkout so you can speak out against the president. Quit, join the private sector like a grown-up, and then talk all you want. Then go back to mom's basement or wherever it is you live. That's right, a mom's basement joke. You don't deserve any better. They're going to do a walkout. Speaker Mike Johnson has stated if they walk out, fire them. Fire the people who walk out, any federal workers who take part in this. I could not agree more with that. But I think we need to take a second look at this. And my view doesn't somehow magically come because I'm Jewish. It's not, I was at a conference, and so this was over a year ago. I was at a conference. I won't say where, I won't say with who. I'm sitting at a table of 5. It's dinner. It's outdoors. It's beautiful out. And I'm listening to 2 people talk. It was a white man. It was a black woman. And the black woman is explaining to the white man, who's listening earnestly, respectfully, but I don't think was buying into everything that this woman said. This was 2 years ago. So George Floyd is well underway and everything else. And what's happened across the country and the destruction of cities where no one seemed to mind those riots. Those riots were okay. But I was going to make a comment, but I'll save it. And she's saying that, these there's a lot of white people who don't really understand. I'm trying to teach them, I could really help them understand this bigotry and the race issues if they would just let me. I am not a silent guy, kids. I do 6 hours of radio a day. I do a morning show in Indianapolis. We have the syndicated midday show across Indiana we're trying to build. I have Eat, Drink, Smoke, my cigar and bourbon show, which is heard on stations all across the country on weekends. I do TV work and other things, and I have more coming in 2024. I'm not a silent guy, but I'm sitting there at this dinner, and I am quiet. And I'm aware that I'm quiet. There's a moment where I'm kind of outside my own body, watching me watch the conversation, like, what? Because I realize there's something happening in the conversation that's wrong, but I don't know what it is. Not the ridiculousness of a bigotry everywhere. No. Something was wrong with what was being said. And I couldn't put my finger on it. I couldn't touch what it was. And it was driving me nuts. What was it? What was the thing that was happening? Months later, I realized that the problem was this woman believed that she could teach others about race because she believed that the only characteristic one needed was a specific skin color. I now take that story and relate it to my conversation regarding Israel. I do not believe that because I am Jewish, I somehow have more of an understanding of what's going on in Israel and what's going on with these Jew-hating bigots called the Squad and in the Biden administration than you if you're not Jewish. It would be insane to think that because of the blood that runs through my veins, therefore I have, for example, a better understanding of the Holocaust than somebody who has spent their life studying the Holocaust. That would be a ridiculous concept. My existence does not provide within me an expertise. And it didn't for this woman. It doesn't. That's not real. So the idea that I look at something and am disgusted by it is not somehow different than you looking at that and being equally, if not actually more, disgusted. Of course you can be. This walkout idea is, of course, rooted in Jew hatred, and it is rooted in wanting destruction. I think the biggest It's not misconception. That's not the right word, Tony. How about just miss? The biggest miss in the conversation regarding Hamas, regarding these terrorists and these terrorist supporters, and they are terrorist supporters, by the way. They are what they are. These pro-Hamas folk who gathered, this is Sloan Kettering, a cancer hospital in New York, pediatric cancer center. The Jew-hating mob started marching in front because shame on Sloan Kettering for supporting Israel. Listen to me, Hamas lovers. It's not my fault that Jews create medical equipment that keep people alive, and the only thing you Hamas-loving freaks have ever created is another bomb that doesn't work and hits the only hospital you have in your city. It's not my fault. It's your fault. Maybe demand the creation of hospitals. You drive through a city and you will often see on one of the buildings the Jewish hospital. It happens in Louisville. You go into Louisville, you go over from Indiana, my beloved Indiana, into Louisville. You cross the Ohio River. You're like, that's a river. And then boom, Jewish hospital. You know what you never see? Hamas hospital. You never see that, do you? Stunning how that works. Shocking. As a matter of fact. This isn't just about hating Jews. This isn't just about hating Israel. This is 1,000% about hating you. And for those who listen on the regular to my radio show, you've heard me say this before. It almost sounds like a repetition. This is different. Allow me. The people who want to burn it all down, never mind burn Israel all down, burn Western civilization, burn America down to the ground. They are the staffers engaged in the walkout. The call is coming from inside the house. They're letting you know who they are and what they are about, what it is they believe and how it is they believe it. They're telling you, they're showing you, they're sharing it with you. Now, what's your plan? When we talk about draining the swamp, which I have zero issue with, I only have an issue with not getting it done. I will not accept not getting it done. There is a really important thing within institutions about the idea of institutional knowledge. And this is true, for example, in nursing, in a very, very dangerous way. When you see nurses leave, when you see nurses head out, you're losing an unbelievable amount of skill, not skill, including skill, but this knowledge of how things work and operate that shaves seconds off of saving lives, which means more lives saved. How certain doctors like certain things, how things actually operate within the hospital, where things are and why they are, and why if you can't find it in place A, why you should actually talk to person B and look in place C, and how you can pre-think these things and actually have things flowing and moving so you can save 8 seconds here and 2 seconds here and 5 seconds there, so you don't have to wait for the consult this, you've already called in for that, and lives get saved and efficiencies increase. That's what institutional knowledge does. And institutional knowledge, when it is kicked around and knocked out, man, it takes a while to build that back. So when we take a look at the institutions, it's very clear that institutional knowledge matters in how these things are run. But the institutional knowledge, let's say at the State Department, isn't about how the State Department is run. It's about how the State Department is, feel the air quotes, run. Same thing with the FBI. Same thing with a host of organizations. And if you're going to drain the swamp, you have to accept the fact that you're going to lose that institutional knowledge. But in this case, that's a plus because you have to get rid of the ridiculousness and the sickness. And if you have 2 or 200 or 2,000 staffers walk out because they support Hamas, they don't just want to burn Israel down, they want to burn America down, you fire them on the spot as a lesson to everybody else. Now, you'll notice I didn't say hang them. This isn't some Mel Gibson Braveheart movie. You fire them. These are not people worthy of representing America. They're not decent enough to know their role as a staffer. You want to be the guy? Go be the guy. Go be the guy. Go get elected. Then you can be the guy. You say anything you want. People might even give you money for it. Who knows? When you're a staffer, no. But this is what they think. And these are the people who behind the scenes run the institutions. Have you ever been to Capitol Hill? If you've ever been to D.C. and been in a House office building, you will note that Congress is run by children. Children run Congress. It is surreal. It's crazy town. You won't believe your eyes. How is this possible? That children run this place? Well, they do. They 100% do. And if you don't understand this, you're out of your mind. Biden should be disgusted, and Biden should look to removing these people. But Biden's a guy who doesn't get told by his Secretary of Defense that he's going to be having a surgery. Biden doesn't fire that guy either. The election in November matters more than we all are willing to let on. And that's why winning is the only thing that matters. I want to win because these people want all of us to lose. I'm Tony Katz. Look at us. So we've got a quick in and out here for the radio show, and then we've got the larger break, which I'm just gonna keep going if that's all right, guys. I got some other things to get to. What do I have? I've got a couple of videos. Joy Reid being just beyond bigoted. I think the only thing she hates more than Jews is Christians, and that would be people who are white, at least based on her commentaries. I'll share that with you. And then some beliefs in the election and some exit polling. Actually, they call it entrance polling from Iowa. That I mean, how can anybody question whether or not this is legit? It just is what it is. So I've got both of those things to get to. And I will share those. I was searching for a video. I don't know where it is. So that one says getting a drink. That one says we'll be right back. And where is... I think it's this one. There. We've been working on our stuff for the breaks. I gotta get some better stuff there. Again, this is about getting a director. This is about getting a... It's gonna happen. I'm tell me, Sarah, am I hiring a producer for the show? Yes or no? You still have a job. You're gonna oversee them. But I don't see how I don't. I don't know how the other guys do it. Every piece of it? No, I think you need a team. I think you need a team. I really do. So I'm gonna put a team together. So Vivek Ramaswamy gets out of the race. We will have that coming up. The bigotry of Joy Reid. We will have that coming up. And most importantly, why was the media calling the caucuses for Trump 33 minutes into the caucuses? That's insane. We'll get into that as well. This is Tony Katz today. So hang loose, everybody. Hang right there. I'm not sure. I'm just gonna leave this. Is that what I do? Because I do have to use a bathroom. It happens. What? So, Sarah, you're gonna produce the live stream? Like, really? Wow. Where do you have that time with everything else you have going on with us? You're gonna have to figure that one out. All right, we will take the quick break. We will be right back. Oh, good Lord. I got to get some new commercial stuff in there. That's what's going to happen because we got the breaks for the radio show and everything else. Producer Jason is right there in Indianapolis handling things. Of course, we're heard on WIBC.com, and then we're heard in Bloomington, and we're heard in Muncie, and we are growing. That's the plan. I hope to have some very cool announcements coming. We'll see where it goes. For sure, Jason, we all good? All right, just making sure. Bonnie wants me to know that everybody knew Trump would win. Okay. Now what? Winning this part, maybe. I need to win a general. Is he the guy to do it? That's what I'm asking. I mean, it drove people crazy that I was like, hey, Ron DeSantis, please. I have a litany of successes in Iowa, not Iowa, in Florida. Why wouldn't I want those? What's wrong with those? Why all of a sudden that's a problem? Oh, he's disloyal. Stop it. I don't buy into any of that madness. He's an easier lift. In my view, he was an easier lift in a general than Trump. I want to win. Give me getting things done and an easier way to get there. I'm all about it. I thought that was a very standard kind of philosophy, and people are like, no. And that's what the numbers show. The numbers show no. And I'm going to get into the numbers. I also have some more video to share about some things, and this Joy Reid stuff is this Joy Reid stuff. There comes a moment where MSNBC, never mind taking a look at themselves. MSNBC someone has to take a look at them and be like, what is it that we actually allow here? Explain to me how sponsors back Joy Reid. What, people come after my sponsors left and right. By the way, sponsorship's now available. They'll gladly do it. Right? You can sponsor the whole show. You can sponsor, we can get some studio space. Oh, wait to see the new studios. Oh, the framing has taken place, and hopefully this week they'll get the roof on. It's been cold. Hopefully this week they'll get the roof on. And then once you get that on, I mean, it's a box with a bathroom is what we're building, and I'm taking care of the rest. So I'll be very happy when this thing is done. Oh, new studio is going to be outstanding. And cigar smoking. That's going to be, oh yeah, the whole system, the smoke eater, the air filtration, all of it. Going to be so good. Because if I could be lighting up right here, I would have done it already. Done it. How MSNBC keeps Joy Reid on the air. It's stunning. It is remarkable. I'd be fired for saying these things. I'd be fired. I wouldn't be able to syndicate. I wouldn't be able to have anybody watching videos. I wouldn't nothing. Joy Reid engages in such bigotry on the air. And she does it with a smile, and she did it last night as she was talking about the caucus results. Those results showing big night for Donald Trump. 51%. DeSantis, 21.2%. Nikki Haley, 19.1%. Tony Katz today. That is the name of the radio program. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. Become a part of what we do over there. Subscribe or not. It's totally your choice. It is an obscenity. Now, I didn't plan on starting with it, but I will. I want you to hear it. It is gross how she thinks she can speak about other people. And while we go through this, she's talking about Iowa. I want you to keep in your head how often she says the word white.
I'm right. And the thing is, we were sort of laughing about the fact that they're talking about electability when he's literally lost everything he's touched for the last 4 years. But, I feel like the important sort of data point, and Steve talks about it a lot. He's going to probably talk about it a little more tonight, is that these are white Christians. that this is a state that is overrepresented by white Christians that are going to participate in these caucuses, especially tonight. Earlier today, reached out to Robbie Jones, from the Public Religion Research Institute, knowing that we were going to talk about Iowa. And this is a hyper-evangelical white state. And he said the following to me: Iowa is about 61% white Christian. The country as a whole is approximately 41% white Christian. And in Iowa, we're talking about evangelical white Christians. And he said the following, because I asked him, what do they get out of supporting Donald Trump? Because he keeps losing, he keeps delivering losses and losses. And he said the following: they see themselves as the rightful inheritors of this country, and Trump has promised to give it back to them. All the things that we think about electability, about, what are people gaming out, or none of that matters when you believe that God has given you this country, that it is yours, and that everyone who is not a white conservative Christian is a fraudulent American, is a
Joy Reid's bigotry knows no bounds. But let us address in the most honest way possible why it is that people are attracted to Donald Trump. You, Joy Reid, your party, your fellow travelers in progressivism, have been calling everybody in America a racist and a bigot for decades. You have engaged in a campaign of absolute hate for decades. You have told people how horrible they are. They're not accepting enough. They're not caring enough. And you have put upon them every regulation under the sun. Let us talk most recently. Not only did you say to people, you don't get to have a gas stove anymore. And people said, what are you talking about? I love my gas stove. And then you said, why are you bringing up gas stoves? Oh, you people in your culture wars. And then you went after gas stoves and gas heaters and gas furnaces. Every day is about another prevention of what it is the people can do. And what they do, you decide, is somehow bigoted. You have launched in the most authoritarian way attack after attack on people who just want to go to work, pay their taxes, and raise their families. So much so, you've told them that they might not be entitled to their own family if they don't go along with their child claiming I'm this gender or that, and I got to have a surgery for this. You did it in California, and you did it in Washington State. I think they're doing it in Minnesota. Go along with what a child wants, or lose your child. They are not aligned with Trump because they want to see the greatness of Christianity take over the land. I would guess some are. There's two sides to the bell curves, right? Because if you're going to tell me now that Trump is the great Christian, we're going to have ourselves a heck of a conversation here. That he's supported by evangelicals, that is always a unique position. What Trump, in terms of giving back, how about a country that actually works? This has been his argument. The whole concept of Make America Great Again, which is as perfect of a slogan as hope and change. Remember, that was Barack Obama, hope and change. And you're like, what the hell does that mean? I don't know what that means. It mean anything you want it to be. Well, I hope it means this, but I would change it to that. See how it works? And that's what was so great about hope and change. You could apply to it anything you wanted to as an individual. Make America Great Again could also do that exact thing. It does that exact thing. For many people, it's how about a country that doesn't hate them? That doesn't hate itself, that isn't working aggressively towards its total lack of existence through a pseudo-intellectualism proffered by a Joy Reid. And certainly doesn't say, oh, you Christians are the problem. Christians are the problem? No, sorry. White Christians are the problem, right? Because all of those black Christians in South Carolina, they're fine, so much so that the Democrats moved the first primary there. in everything and in every way. Joy Reid must find a way to connect racism and bigotry to it. That is the only way she can engage a conversation at all. And this is considered intellectual thought by the political left. Yes, that's very interesting. No, it should have been counter-argument, Joy Reid. You're a racist. Holy crap, is that gross, and shame on you. Can we go to commercial break now? How often does Mehdi Hassan look at his TV and be like, she has a job and I don't? And Mehdi Hassan is a Jew hater and a half, in my view. Joy Reid is out there saying, you see, the reason they vote for Trump is that they're going to bring Christianity across the land and they're going to persecute everybody else. I guarantee you, I've gotten more persecution from progressives than from Christians in my life. I just if we were to really take a poll, who has engaged in more persecution of Jews in the United States? Progressives or Christians? The most persecution I get from Christians is, hey, Jesus, thanks for that. And I'm like, you're welcome. Happy to give you that guy. Oh, he's such a great carpenter. Oh, please. Couldn't even build a manger. Screw you. That's a good joke. I'm taking that with me. I wonder if you want to send me emails, Tony@TonyCats.com, you go right ahead. I'm not. Oh, he might have been a baby producer, Jason, but still very skilled. Very, very skilled. Very proficient. This is the standard talking point. And when I discuss, because I'm hitting this a couple times today. I usually don't do that. I don't theme out a program. I don't theme out shows. But it is so important that you hear this from Joy Reid, because when you recognize that Trump has this massive lift ahead of him, you see, you're like, oh, Trump's going to win it all. I don't think you're paying attention to the rest of the country, and there's a lot of Trump supporters who aren't. They're in the idol worship category, and I've got no time for that. I only have time for reality. This is what you're up against. The people who actually listen to Joy Reid. Yes, there is an audience there. And yes, it is flat out dangerous. How do you now beat them at the polls? Which is why I go back to where I started. I was a DeSantis guy. Wait, nope. I am a DeSantis guy. Give me success and make it an easier lift to November. That's all I'm looking for. It's all I want. Joy Reid is just a sample of what you are up against. Rachel Maddow gives you another sample.
Let me just interject. Sorry. I'm sorry. I just have to do a little bit of business just for a second. At this point in the evening, the projected winner of the Iowa caucuses has just started giving his victory speech. We will keep an eye on that as it happens. We will let you know if there's any news made in that speech, if there's anything noteworthy, something substantive and important. The reason I'm saying this is, of course, there is a reason that we and other news organizations have generally stopped giving an unfiltered live platform to remarks by former President Trump. It is not out of spite. It is not a decision that we relish. It is a decision that we regularly revisit. And honestly, earnestly, it is not an easy decision, but there is a cost to us as a news organization of knowingly broadcasting untrue things. That is a fundamental truth of our business and who we are. And so his remarks tonight will not air here live. We will monitor them and let you know about any news that he makes.
If MSNBC really had a rule about not airing untrue things, you would never air a Biden speech again. I mean, that's just the easiest thing to say in the world. Trump did say that he's won this for the third time. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. This is the first time he's won the Iowa caucus. To say that he won it in 2020, he was unopposed. That's not right. We didn't win in 2016. Ted Cruz won in 2016. So I don't know what he's talking about here. But the very idea, well, he says a lot of things that may not be true, so we can't bring ourselves because we have integrity. Integrity, I say. Now, Joy Reid, tell me about those despicable white Christians, won't you? Integrity. Come on. Rachel, we see you. We're right here. Oh, good Lord. Integrity. We can't air these things. It'll give us legal troubles. My gosh. That's... How many of you told me that Jussie Smollett was really attacked? Now you want to tell me about integrity. This is what you're up against, kitten. And of course, that's sending the message. Trump can't be trusted. Trump this, Trump that, as opposed to a more honest conversation. Okay, here's what he said. Here's what we think it means. Here's where he made a mistake. Pointing it out would be one thing. Saying it's too dangerous to air. The too dangerous conversation is the one that's actually most dangerous. Oh, he's too dangerous. Oh, it's too dangerous. Oh, it's a threat to humanity. Oh, it's this. What happens when people start taking that to heart and saying, well, if he's too close to the White House, it's just too much of a threat. We have to stop the threat. You think I'm the first person to note that what they're saying leads itself down a primrose path to a place that is horrifying and wholly not what we want in America? What they're saying leads people down a primrose path. And I believe, and I don't have a single conspiratorial bone in my body, I believe that's the whole damn point. What happens next with the rest of the contenders? How Ramaswamy got out of the race, and 68% of Americans said, hey, we believe this, and yet media is shocked? I don't quite get it. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Let us bring it back, people. Yeah, new commercials, new interstitials there that we need. That has to happen for sure. As we stated, you can find everything at TonyKatz.com. Vivek Ramaswamy suspending his campaign. We're getting to the markets coming up right here. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Getting into that. Where is Bitcoin right now? Where is it? I don't, full disclosure, I don't own enough Bitcoin to count. I just want to know how these ETFs are doing because I expected it to rocket, boom. And it didn't, and it's still playing in that 43,000 range. I just expected it to explode upward. That's what I thought was going to happen. All right, we're back. The Dow is down 268. Might have something to do with the 10-year Treasury being above 4%. Tony Katz today. 833 got Tony 833-468-8669. So the Dow's down 268. You've got the NASDAQ down 61. The 10-year Treasury. So the 10-year Treasury is what you're building the 30-year fixed mortgage rate on, right? The spread between the 10-year Treasury note, the 30-year fixed, those are basis points. BP, sometimes you'll see it as basis points. And it has been like 300 basis points. So we were for a while with a 10-year Treasury over 5. Now, historically, that's not the highest it's been. It's that when we have seen mortgage rates so incredibly low, massively low, that you realize that if you have a 5% 10-year Treasury and you have a 300 basis point spread, you've got mortgage rates at 8%. And 8% mortgage rates in today's America will make people stop. Historically, it's a very average number. It's actually a little bit better than average. Historically, if we look over the past 40 years or so. So now you have the national average on a 30-year fixed is 7%. All right. So pretty darn close to the same 300 basis point spread, right? The people at Bankrate will tell you that they can find a 30-year fixed at 6.12. Well, in November, it was 7.34, and then things went down to 5.99, is now back up a little. It's going to have an effect on the market. You have the JetBlue Spirit merger that has now been blocked because the Department of Justice is saying, hey, there's an antitrust issue. They argue anti-competitiveness and would hurt consumers. As a guy who flies Spirit Airlines, let me tell you that Spirit needs no help in hurting their consumers. None. And you ask me, Tony, why do you fly Spirit? I find that for where I need to go, they have the most nonstops. And if I can get the big seat, you know what I'm talking about? They don't have a first class, but they have 2 sets of seats that are like the size of first class seats. And as long as I can sit in there, I'm like, all right, I'm comfortable, I'm good. Because I am 100% a first class traveler. It's what I do. I don't care. I don't need the nicest hotel. I don't need the nicest rental car. Don't need any of that stuff. Need the first class seat. But what I really need is the private travel. I have only flown private once in my life. Shame on me. It's the only way to fly. There was a story in the Wall Street Journal, the $65 million perk for CEOs, personal use of the corporate jet has soared. There is no Rolex on planet Earth, and I'm wearing a Bulova Accutron Space View, 1963. I think that one is right there. I think the time I got it's running a little fast. It is running a little fast. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. There's no Rolex on planet Earth that is more wow factor than a private jet. Zero. There's nothing greater than the private jet. That is you have a boat? Well, congratulations. Private jet. That's when I will know, kitten. That's when I'll know I've made it. When I can say gas up the jet. Because the most amazing part of private travel is that you don't even realize that it's happening. Not the flight. You recognize the flight's happening. The flight was actually, the first hour was a little disconcerting. It's you feel like you're too close to the side. You're too close to the air, and then gravity bringing you to the ground. No, it's that you get to like one of these smaller airports, regional airport or private airfield, something like that. And then someone takes your luggage and like the plane's right here. And then all right, like get on the plane and hey, there's this person and that person. And the next thing you know, it's like, okay, let's take off. No security. No one's checking whether you got a firearm. You just go. You just go. It's the greatest feeling in the world. In the world. So I if I can't have a private jet, I need more friends with private jets. So if you've got one, hey friend, I'm Tony Katz. It's so true. It is so absolutely true. When we come back, let us learn what it is 68% of Americans or voters in the Iowa caucuses said, and why is anybody stunned by it? Guys, keep it right here. We'll be back soon enough. Why is it doing that to me? I'm trying to upload something for you. I have a different one, and it won't. It's gonna drink. Boom. Maybe that's it. I don't know. It hasn't been uploading properly. The video I was looking for. So maybe this one will do it. Maybe this one will be the win right there. And don't forget, if you're watching on Rumble or YouTube, please subscribe right there. If you're watching on Facebook, screw Mark Zuckerberg. Thank you. Glad we had this talk. Be right back. Right on. We'll be back to it in 60 seconds. The story here is that it's a crazy story. Fox News has canceled My Pillow ads because Lindell is not paying the bill? That's a crazy story. Lindell shared a video that on X that Fox canceled the commercials without reason. I don't speak for Fox. I don't know everything about them, but really? You actually think that Fox would cancel My Pillow ads because of anything having to do with Dominion? I don't think so. Lindell says, I believe this is all about stopping me from talking about the election platforms and the elections, and this just getting rid of my voice. According to the Washington Post, as reported by Barrett News Media, Lindell hasn't paid his advertising bill since August. He owes legal fees to Dominion and Smartmatic. According to the reporting, has not yet paid those. Fox is saying this is ridiculous, saying as soon as their account is paid, we would be happy to accept their advertising. He was averaging $1 million a week on Fox. Now, wait a second. First of all, Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. So what is the ratio? So I don't do that kind of advertising, right? I really only have one business that I would do any advertising in. I have my family has long been in the credit card processing world. And because my parents are of a certain age, I've taken over. My brother, the good Dr. Katz, has taken over. It's the only business that I'm like, okay, I should really see if there's an advertising opportunity in this for me. But if you're spending $1 million, hold on, someone do the math for me right now. Get an abacus, take off your shoes, do whatever you got to do. If you're spending $1 million, what's the return on that makes it worth the $1 million? You're spending $4 million a month, $48 million a year. 52 weeks, $52 million a year. Did I do that math right? Yeah, I think I did. So now, what's the return? It's not $1 million for $1 million. I mean, unless you think that gets you some residual thing. All right, this is a loss leader, if you will, and I'll do it the other way. No. What's the math there? You guys are business people. You tell me, what is the mathematics on this? How do you do that? I want to know. Someone's got to work that out for me. I'm now curious. Now let's get to this 68%. This was the commentary that broke CNN last night. Broke these people in two. They fell apart. They fell down. They had no idea what was happening. Literally fetal position. This was it. It broke them. Listen.
As they went into caucus sites across the state, David Chalian is here with that. David, what are you seeing?
Well, Jake, we are sort of trying to take stock of what does this electorate look like in Iowa tonight. Now, these are early entrance poll results. These are people who arrived at the caucus site early. These numbers will change throughout the night as we do more interviews. But look at this. We asked folks, are you part of the MAGA movement? 53%, a majority of those that we've interviewed thus far say yes, they consider themselves part of the MAGA movement. 41% say no, they're not. We also asked folks, do you think Joe Biden legitimately won the 2020 election? 68%, more than two-thirds of those in these early entrance poll results showing up early to the caucus sites say no, he did not. Wrongly say no, he did not win legitimately in 2020. And then we asked, if Donald Trump is convicted of a crime, do you still think he's fit for the presidency? A similar result here, nearly 2/3 of those who have showed up at the Republican caucuses tonight in Iowa, at least these early arrivers, tell us, yes, Donald Trump is still fit for the presidency, even if convicted of a crime. These numbers show a very Trump-aligned Republican electorate, Jake.
All right.
No, it doesn't actually show that, David. And I love how you are trying to editorialize on wrongly and rightly. And allow me. If Donald Trump were convicted of inciting insurrection, the vast majority of the political right would say, yeah, that's a load of crap. That's all political. You guys are blank and ridiculous. We're going to pay no attention to you whatsoever. And of course, we're going to vote for him. 1,000%. That's going to be the case. Because we understand, even those of us who are not hard-edged and hardcore for Trump, we totally get that that's nuts. The guy wasn't at the Capitol. The guy wasn't wearing a Viking helmet. The guy didn't say attack the Capitol. That guy is named Ray Epps. Go get him. Oh, no. Ray Epps gets a slap on the wrist. Donald Trump gets the special counsel, Jack Smith, who is so desperate to engage in election interference, he is demanding that the Supreme Court let this case happen in March, right before Super Tuesday. How dare anything be delayed? Don't you know we have an election to derail? It isn't. No part of this is surprising. Imagine the kind of person that you have to be surprised by the idea that a vast majority of people on the political right and independents look at these charges and go, this is pretty damn gross. This is pretty disgusting. What's happening here to Donald Trump? But 68% believe that the election is what? That the 2020 election had election issues. I have zero conspiracies in me. I stated this earlier. I do not have a conspiratorial bone in my body. Of course, 2020 election had issues. Of course, the 2020 election had issues. I don't know how many times I could possibly talk about Pennsylvania. The legislature set the election as prescribed by the Constitution. The judiciary in Pennsylvania made changes to it. All 20 electoral votes should not have been certified. They should have been certified. And if anybody in Pennsylvania had any decency whatsoever, they wouldn't have certified it. This is not a debatable subject. Of course, there were issues. Of course, there were issues in Arizona and in Georgia. Do I believe that Joe Biden won the election? I don't even use the word believe. He won the election. He's the president. I could see it with my own eyes. But to think that you would be shocked that there would be Republicans who see this as an issue or question it. That's the craziest thing ever. Of course they do, because there are things to question. I go so far as to say the people who say, well, Trump brought all the legal challenges and all the legal challenges failed. No, Trump brought legal challenges and a vast majority of them judges wouldn't even hear. The Supreme Court could have ended all of the nonsense by hearing one of those cases, which I believed, was that the one involving Texas? Texas had an interesting conversation that they were disenfranchised because of what it is Pennsylvania did with the judiciary changing the way the vote happened, and that case not heard. Yeah, that case wasn't heard. It wasn't thrown out. It was not heard. But even Justice Clarence Thomas and Justice Samuel Alito, they said, of course we should be hearing these things. If we're not going to hear a case like this about the election for president, can I ask what it is we do here? which was, of course, the right response. I don't know why anybody's surprised by this. The only people who are acting surprised are people who are on TV on the progressive left who want to shame you for having, eyes. I can see that there were problems, and I can also say that Trump lost. Trump lost. And I will keep reminding that the way to win 2024 is not to try and litigate the past or dredge it up. It is to talk about the future. Americans want to hear about their lives, which is why when we talk about Trump, I stop telling me about your personality. Stop telling me what a great, just do the job. If you want to tell me that Trump's a great guy, but if he's president again and he doesn't drain the swamp, do I actually give a damn if he's nice to puppies? I don't. I couldn't care. Could not care. I want what I want. Are my taxes lower? Is the nation safer? Have we done something about military recruitment? Are we building more Navy ships? Are we breaking DEI into? Holy crap, the bigotry of DEI must be broken into. These are the only things I care about. Trump's personality, oh, what a great guy. Who gives a you-know-what? That is totally unnecessary. Just nonsense. I am completely over this idea that somehow you have to have this level of fealty.
Over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no!
That's a good point. But I am still most definitely over that nonsense. Oh, stop playing already. Thank you very much. It's a new system. I'm a kid with a new toy. That was step one. Then there was, of course, Vivek Ramaswamy getting out of the race.
And so I will stick to the truth tonight. The first hard truth, and this one's hard for me. I got to admit this. But we've looked at it every which way, and I think it is true that we did not achieve the surprise that we wanted to deliver tonight. And I think that that's just a hard fact that we're going to have to accept as a campaign. And the question then is, what do we do that is right for our country? And so Purv and I, we actually didn't make this contingency plan before everybody told us to. We said, no, we're not doing that. But we talked about it tonight. We took a little bit of time in our apartment in Des Moines before coming here to make some hard choices. And I wanted to make a couple of announcements tonight to get the business out of the way. And then I want to tell you where we're going. As of this moment, we are going to suspend this presidential campaign. And this is going to have to be, there's no path for me to be the next president absent things that we don't want to see happen in this country. And I think that I am very worried for our country. I think we are skating on thin ice as a nation. We have done everything in our part to make, and done, every one of us in this room has done our part to save this country. And I am so proud of every one of you who have lifted us up. But we're a campaign founded on the truth. And so that's why we've made that decision today. And I'm also making the decision that this has to be an America First candidate in that White House. As I've said since the beginning, there are two America First candidates in this race. And earlier tonight, I called Donald Trump to tell him that I congratulate him on his victory. And now going forward, he will have my full endorsement for the presidency. And I think we're going to do the right thing for this country. And so
now, I don't think anybody is surprised by this endorsement from Ramaswamy, even though it was the Team Trump attacking Ramaswamy just the other day. Look, it's politics, and anybody who lets that sway them is I think unserious. Ramaswamy's campaign is a surprise. Ramaswamy's campaign was a shock. And Ramaswamy's campaign is incredibly valuable. It's not that I agreed with everything. It's not that I agreed everything, the style of debating, etc. His best moments were not in debates. His best moments were somebody was disagreeing with him at a town hall, and he let them talk, and then he talked to them, not at them, to them. Whether it was an act or an affect, he was fully engaged in wanting to hear from them, and fully engaged in showing that why in the world, if you actually believe something, why in the world, if you have a code and a system and a methodology, why if you're studied on an issue, why in the world would you need ever to fear the question being asked of you? Why would you have to have anybody ever, that while there might be somebody out of control who has to be escorted out of a campaign event, why would you have to do that? Why not just answer the question? Just do it. Be comfortable in your own skin enough to do that. He did that exceptionally well. Exceptionally well. And I do think that did move some people, for sure. For sure. But the of course real issue for him is that Trump was in the race. What's the point of voting for Vivek Ramaswamy when you can just vote for, quote unquote, the real thing? Will Ramaswamy be back? Maybe. Or he's gonna set it all on fire with this endorsement of Trump, and it ain't gonna work out the way he thought. We will see. I'm Tony Katz. Be right back, guys. Okay, we're going to live stream this last piece there, producer Jason, and then what's going to happen is we'll be done with the live stream. Sorry, everybody, didn't mean to put the cat out of the bag, but I think 2 hours 2 hours would be solid. Now, the question is, should we be doing this every day? Because a couple things. I think the camera's too high. I think I got to tilt down a little bit. I think I got to do that. And then second, I think I need other camera angles in here. I do. I don't mind a little bit of this. I mean, the new studio won't have any of this. The new studio is going to be beautiful. Beautiful. Oh, and sponsorship's now available. Yeah, it's gonna be just fantastic. Okay, let me just make sure I've got this latest right here. All right. We're coming back, guys. Remember, we've got the radio show we've got to connect with. So that's what's happening here. Here we go. So Tesla is about to idle a factory. This is in Germany. And this has to do with the Houthi rebels. The attacks on cargo ships, the attacks on other vessels in the Red Sea, in the Gulf of Aden. Remember, we're talking about Yemen, bottom of Saudi Arabia, Gulf of Aden, Red Sea, separating Saudi Arabia and Egypt, Africa, I should say. You have all this shipping that goes through. You have the Houthi rebels engaged in these attacks, changing the way the shipping is happening, costing so much more to send goods from point A to point B. All of this Joe Biden's fault for not taking the Houthi rebels out, diminishing them. That Tesla at its Gigafactory is going to idle it until this all comes together. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. This is the effect worldwide. And it's only going to get worse from here and worse for your pocketbook. Guys, I appreciate you being here. I really do. And what I'd like for you to do is subscribe wherever it is you are on YouTube or on Rumble. You're watching on X, subscribe away. If you're heading over to TonyKatz.com, become a supporter. Greatly appreciate that as well. And if you're on Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg's a jerk. Facebook is nonsense. I mean, you can like the page, I don't mind, but aside from sending things here, I refuse to give that cat any of my loot. Refuse. You'd sooner see me on TikTok, and I'm not on TikTok, guys. I'm not. I'm glad you were here. Let me know what you thought of this. Send some ideas, send some thoughts. You leave in the comments, Tony@TonyKatz.com, and we'll do it again for sure. All right, guys, take care.